What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again with another video. Today we're talking about, Sword and Shield? I already beat these games. What are we talking about those games for? Actually, we're just talking about the Pokemon Sword DLC. It's Shield's DLC too, but the Isle of Armor. Now, you noticed in the last video, what did I say? What specifically did I say? And I said this all, you gotta remember, before the direct that told us about these DLCs. I said I didn't expect DLCs. I said in the next game, can they put out some dungeons where we can all go in together and run around and do stuff. I said something to that effect, and lo and behold, what do you know? They're not in the game yet, but they're in the next DLC. I think is what I assume. I haven't seen them in this game yet. If they're in this game, tell me how to access them, because I want to hang out with my friends and play these things. Trading barely even fucking works anymore, apparently. Me and my friend Nick tried to trade. Could be because we're halfway across the world from each other, but I don't know. Just saying. But I predicted that. There was like another thing in that video too that I predicted. I'm like, I said something about like making the wild area like more of like an open, like the open world kind of thing, or something to that effect. I don't know. I predicted like the wild area in this version too, where it's like it more connects everything and whatnot. It's more of a hub world sort of thing, and I'm like, man, like, it's so funny because I was just listening to that video the other day, like as I was playing the DLC, and I'm like, what the fuck? I predicted all of this shit was gonna happen. So that's what I have to say about this DLCs, because this is Nintendo listening to its fans. Nintendo has heard our cries to make the wild area more open and more integrated and essential to the game, to traversing the game. They've added little caves and whatnot, which is what we asked for. I mean, you can still go a bit above and beyond and a little bit further with that, and I would definitely like to see some like real typical RPG dungeons, or even just something kind of similar to your old dungeons from older Pokemon games. So get a little more in depth with it, but that's great. They're taking a great step in the right direction. This wild area is what the wild area in the original wild, that area should have just been from the start. Like, this DLC gave me so much hope for the future of Pokemon and where we can go with this, and definitely looking forward to the next DLC. I mean, in terms of like story and stuff, it's as light as it was in the regular game. Not a lot going on. A little bit of an improvement. I would say at least the rival character is definitely an improvement. Because I played the sword version, so I had the girl. I heard the guy is really annoying or whatever, and nobody likes him. But the girl is like what we always wanted out of like a Gary Oak type rival. Again, they're taking very good steps in the right direction with that. And this is what I was asking. That's the other thing I predicted. I'm like, please give us that back. And they did. They've done it. This is what I'm asking for. This is what I've been asking for. Is a rival like this. Everyone's been asking for it. It's not just me. But a rival who kind of belittles you. And that's literally all she does the entire time. It's just like fucking belittles you. And, oh, you're not that great. Surely, what? How did you beat this guy? And all this stuff. And it's great. It's fantastic. That's all I needed. You have Hop again. He's back. Spoilers, I guess, or whatever. It's not really... There's not that much that's going on in this story, but Hop's back. So it's such a good contrast. You get this girl character who's your rival, and she's real spunky and like she's real cutthroat against you and whatnot. And I like that. I mean, she seems like more like of what a villain would have been in like some of the older Pokemon games. Like, she seems like a Team Rocket grunt or something. But I like that. That's what we need. This is what we're looking for here. I mean, she's not as good as Gary Oak or anything, but she's definitely a step in the right direction, and I appreciate that a lot. So continue on with that. That's good stuff. Maybe we can see her in the next DLC, and she can follow us along there. Apparently from what Hop was saying, he's not really going to be there. It's going to be the Sonya girl or whatever. So, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. That's just what they were saying in the game. So that's cool. They've taken a lot of good steps in the right direction. Now, they've added 100 new Pokemon, essentially. There's like 100 and some change. Maybe like 140 or something. I thought I saw the count was. But anyway, They've added support for a lot more characters, Pokemon, but they don't count towards your Galar Dex or whatever, or your island. It's like the armor Dex or whatnot. It's like the Island of Armor Dex, which is pretty cool. Another cool thing about this one is the water sections reminded me a lot of like Gen 3, where there's like kind of a big open water area, which is pretty cool. Definitely a good like little block work there for what you could do in the future. You know, make big water open sections again. Like, hell yeah. Like, we're on the right track there. You know, they've got a lot of little good things on the right track, and there's a lot of little random islands and whatnot to go and explore, and that's really cool, and I love that aspect of it. Especially since they added this little thing, which is like, it's like Korok seeds, but done a little bit better, where it's like Digletts and whatnot. That you have to go and find, and they're the little Alolan Digletts, so they have little sprouts of hair sticking up out of the ground, so you have to like look around in the scenery and whatnot. So that's really cool. I haven't collected all of them yet. I collected like 120 of them so far out of 151. 151, nice little reference there to the original count for Pokemon there. Pretty slick. So I got 31 more to find. I'm not really sure where they're at, so probably gonna have to follow those Austin John Plays videos. You get Pokemon and stuff for doing them, like Alolan versions of Pokemon and stuff. That's pretty cool. There's people in the world that'll either trade you an Alolan. They'll trade you really the original version of a Pokemon for the Alolan version, which is pretty cool. So like, there's this lady who wants to trade a Mr. Mime for the Alolan version, or I mean what does she want to trade? Wait, there's no Alolan Mr. Mime, is there? I think for the Galar version or something, and maybe she's trading the Galar version for the regular Mr. Mime. That's not a good example. My point is, there's other ones who will trade other ones, like the Executor, for the Alolan one or whatever. So that's pretty cool. There's also a lot of little NPCs everywhere that, like, you'll go up and talk to them, and they'll be like, oh, for 100 watts, I'll show you a new Pokemon you haven't seen. So that's pretty cool. You know, like, obviously they're all Pokemon that we've seen before. There's only 2, technically, I mean, 3 if you want to count there's like 3, let's say. I mean, 2 of them are just forms of an old Pokemon. Well, so there's 4 then, if you count that. So, and there's a legendary supposed to be coming out at some point, so we'll have to look out for that. But basically, there's the bear Pokemon, who evolves into another Pokemon who you're training throughout the storyline of this one. And then there's the 2 Slowpokes that are the new version of Slowpoke, which is pretty cool. But that's pretty much it for new stuff. Like, that's all that's really new here in terms of Pokemon, which is pretty cool. But, like, I mean, I like that there's not a lot of new stuff, because that means I didn't have to really collect everything new, because I do have all the old Pokemon that I can just transfer into the game, which is funny, because when you transfer them into the game, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but there's no way to register them without going to the daycare and, like, putting them in the daycare, or the breeder, or whatever. I call it the daycare because that's what it was in the old games. Put them in the daycare, you take them out, and then it's registered, so, like, whatever. There's a lot of, like I was saying earlier, me and my friend Nick were having a hard time trading. You know, I mean, he lives halfway across the world, like I said, so it's kind of, maybe that's a connection thing or something, like an issue there. I know there's no real, like, GTS. I mean, there is on the Pokemon Home, but it's like, that doesn't even work very well anyway. That doesn't, like, on the app, you can't do trade evolutions or whatnot, which is why we were trying to trade in the first place, which there are trade evolutions in the new Pokemon that they brought back. You know, they got, like, Scizor and stuff like that. I don't want to spoil too many of the new Pokemon for you. I want you to experience it on your own kind of thing. But, a lot of cool Pokemon. I like the variety of Pokemon that they definitely brought back. I think it was pretty good. It's a good mix of fan favorites, and you know, there wasn't an overabundance of Gen 5 Pokemon this time or whatever, which is kind of cool. Would have been nice to have seen, maybe, the one thing is, like, if they would have fixed giving some of the evolutions to some of those Pokemon that they put in, like Maractus and stuff, like I was talking about in the last video, would be cool. I mean, I really would have liked that. If this DLC put some new Pokemon like that in there, that would have been awesome. Like, hopefully they do that in the next one. It wouldn't make a lot of sense, but maybe Delibird in the next one. It's an ice tundra, like, makes sense to me. But yeah, so there's a good variety of areas and whatnot. There's like a desert and like a forest, and and they all seemed like a little more in depth than kind of the straight lines that a lot of the paths were in the initial game there. So that was good. The I guess like music and graphics, it's all the same. Music, it's like it's very they got a lot of similar themes, but also there's like a lot of new themes, which are fine. They're good, whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, another cool feature, which is a bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, whatever, sorry. They finally added back in the fan favorite following Pokemon thing, but only on the Armor DLC, like only on that island or whatever, or that set of islands or whatever you're gonna call it. There, so that's pretty cool. You get Pokemon can follow behind you again. It's such a trivial thing at this point. I really don't care, but like, it's cool that they added it. I guess. I mean, it it works about as well as you would expect it to. So I don't know. It just kind of seems kind of pointless to me, but like I know we were really asking for that for years, so that's cool. I think it worked a lot better in the old games though, like Heart Gold and stuff, because they were like physically locked behind you. It worked like kind of like how it did in old RPGs, where the party would just like circle behind you and whatnot. I mean they do that in modern RPGs too, but the problem is that there's so much room that the Pokemon always gets stuck behind you somewhere, like way behind, so it's almost pointless. I mean, they teleport back to you and stuff, but it's just like, why do we want this so much? It's really not that big of a deal, guys, I don't think, like, I know they had it in Let's Go and stuff, and that is pretty cool, but, I mean, so it's cool that it's there. I mean, I'm glad that they heard us and put it in there again, but it's like, it's really not that big of a deal, I mean, it's a big deal for everyone who wanted it, which I wanted it too, but it's just like, now that I have it, it's just like, I guess we didn't really need this, this isn't super necessary. This is one of these things that we were harping on for years, and it's just like, so, do we really need this? Like, I don't know. It's fine. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I think we're a little overhyped for that feature to come back. It really doesn't mean a whole lot at the end of the day, kind of thing, but it's a lot like the trees and whatever. They didn't fix the tree texture, by the way, as far as I noticed. They still look the same, so woohoo. Nobody's complaining so far as I've heard, so it's just stupid. Nobody should have been complaining to begin with, but yeah, but it's just like a really cool expansion because it's like a fun area to run around in. I like that. I like that there's just more, and it's like they fixed the wild area. It just feels a lot more cool and like very special now, and it didn't feel like that much before. It felt special initially, and you're like, oh, this is cool. But it didn't really feel like anything. It didn't feel distinct at all. It just kind of felt one big thing that was like there was areas, and it didn't really. It just felt disjointed and whatnot. But like this feels like really cool, and this feels like a Pokemon, world again. I don't know. It just I just felt a lot better. It was more well designed and whatnot, and I think it just shows the potential of what we could have one day for sort of an open Pokemon game. And I think they're probably thinking along those lines because we definitely are seeing the beginnings of that, or they're considering aspects of that, if anything. And I guess while I'm at it, since I got it right last time, what I'm going to say is about these like dungeon things that are supposed to be coming up. I think that's in the Tundra DLC with the legendary Pokemon or whatnot. The Mythicals, I think it is. Or is it just Legendaries? I think it's just Legendaries. I don't think it's going to be Mythical Pokemon, but the legendary Pokemon that are going to be at the end of these like raid dungeon things or whatever. Hopefully these dungeon things are pretty good, to start with. They're like dungeons from any other RPG would be great, like if we could do something like that. Or even, like I said, just like Pokemon dungeons. But what I want is, if we get good dungeons like that, please put some into the storyline of that game DLC as well. And then, of course, into the next game, please put some dungeons like that. Just to do, throughout the storyline or something. Even if they're just like, I don't know, optional or something. But I would really like to see those integrated in the storyline again. I think that would just feel right because we've kind of been missing that for the past, last generation and this generation. I think they had some stuff like that in X and Y, for sure. But that was probably the last time, really. So yeah, I kind of miss that kind of design, the world design there, and the dungeon design and whatnot. We need dungeons again. Like, bring those back for sure. Um, Other than that, I mean, there's apricorns. I never used them, but apparently you can use those to make balls, kind of like in Gen 2 or whatever. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's new. That's interesting. I don't know why specifically they brought back the apricorn feature, but hey, I'm in. Like, that's cool, man. Sure, if you want to bring back apricorns, I'm all in on that. That's whatever. Um, yeah, it's just there's a lot of content here. I mean, it's probably only like a 15 to 20 hour thing altogether, and I spent a lot less time on it because I already had some of those Pokemon kind of ready to go. I didn't like just transfer in all of them and say that, oh, we'll call it a day here, but it was mostly just the trade ones that I couldn't really get, like Kingdra and Slowking and stuff, that I couldn't really trade with my friend for, because I don't know. And he's like the only friend I have that actually has the game, I believe, or like plays the game at all. So there's that. But it works. It is what it is. There's only like one or two exclusive Pokemon. There's like one set of Pokemon each for each game, which I just kind of transferred over from having them from before. I finally transferred my living decks up. I did a video about that. I don't know. Maybe, if you're interested in that, go watch that. But transferred it up to Sword and Shield, so I've got all my shinies and stuff now. You always seem to make it into this video. I just realized you're sitting here. That's fine. But anyway, so yeah, so like it's cool. It's good DLC content. It'd probably get you a good 20 hours or 15 hours or something out of it. I've kind of been playing it nonstop for the past like few nights or whatnot, and the storyline's rather short. It's only a few hours long. I mean, if even, I don't know. I just kind of spread it out over time. What's going to take up the majority of it is training up the Kubfu, which they recommend that you have at level 70. Another little pro tip, if you want to make it a little more challenging, I had it at level 60. Maybe that was a little low. You can definitely breeze through the first like 4 of the floors. There's 5 floors on the tower or whatever. I did breeze through the first 4. Fucking Poliwrath or whatever was a piece of shit for using his protect thing or whatever. That was a bunch of crap, but I pretty much blazed through that, and then the only challenge I really had was when you fight the other Kubfu, which, like, because he's level 70, and so even if mine was level 70, I think I would have still had a little bit of trouble. But I made it happen, so I thought that was pretty cool. But, I was trying to self-impose a little challenge onto myself, because it's like, the game's already easy enough as is, so, I don't know, just kind of figured. But anyway, yeah, there's not really, like, if you complete the armor decks, all you get is, like, this thing that gives you more of these marks or whatever. It's called the Mark Charm. Something similar to the Shiny Charm, but it's nothing really that amazing or anything. You get a bunch of league cards and whatnot, which I never collected most of those anyway. But yeah, so I mean, is the reward worth it? I don't know, if you want those new Pokemon and whatnot, which they're not new, but I mean, they're old Pokemon, but if you want those in the game, then cool. Otherwise, if you're like me and you're insane and you did all of the living decks up to this point, you just have those Pokemon already, and all you'll have to do is bring them into the game, take them to the daycare one by one, like I did, and then just transfer them in, and you'll have everything good there. So, but there's no fun in that. You might as well just go catch them, because that's the more fun part. So, really, I don't have much else to say other than that. There's like a Dynamaxing thing that's like this Dynamax Super something. I don't know. I didn't really care that much about that. You can like upgrade the dojo and stuff. I never did like much of that because I don't want to waste my watts. There's no real point unless there becomes to be a point at some point. Then maybe I'll go and upgrade it. But apparently, I don't know if there's always some little rumor with these Pokemon games, right? But speculation says that if you put 1,000,000 watts in there or something, which is like, how are you supposed to get 1,000,000 watts? That's like a lot of watts. You get a secret battle with Honey, who's one of the people in the dojo there or whatever. I don't know. That's just what my friend told me. So go around and spread that rumor like the Mew under the truck or whatever. So I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if that's confirmed or if that was data mined or something. But apparently that's maybe a thing. So maybe I haven't completed the DLC yet, but I did my best. Uh, I feel like I have. I saw the thing that said the end. There was some more like extra battles or something that I could have done. Apparently that they told me about right after I got out of the last battle there to end it. So, but other thing is that I guess the Pokemon scale. Uh, Everyone was saying that they were going to scale to be 100, which I was a little concerned about because if I caught new Pokemon and wanted to use them or something. But what ended up actually happening was they scaled to level 60. It's based on your badges, how many badges you have. So just like in the regular game, how they kind of scale like that. So they're all level 60 if you finish the game, basically, sort of like the other wild area. So there's that. The only thing I could say is maybe if there were some more trainers in the wild area, like this kind of wild area, if there were some trainers like everywhere, it would have felt like an old Pokemon game at that point if you would have put some trainers everywhere. And that really would have helped with the Cub Fu training up to level 70 because he starts at level like 10 or something. It's like, what the fuck? Like, give us some trainers or something that we can fight. Or maybe we could have had some trainers in the dojo storyline to fight or whatnot. There wasn't a lot with that, you know, if we could have something like that would have happened, then that would have been pretty cool. But that's just a minor thing. Like, maybe it would have been a lot worse to have trainers just sitting everywhere or something. I don't know. But a few here and there could have been pretty all right. So that's like my one little complaint, you know. Uh, Other than that, though, it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed this DLC there. So, and I think if you liked the base game, you'll like it. If you didn't like the base game, I mean, maybe this will win you over. I don't know. It seems more in line with what we've been wanting out of a Pokemon game. So, I think this is a kind of a cool model too, to just keep adding Pokemon to a Pokemon game in DLCs or whatnot. Even though I still think it's a little... Okay, so it does solve the problem. I was saying in my last review, how are you going to fit all of those Pokemon into one area? If you just keep adding Pokemon to an area, it's going to be oversaturated, you know? But what they did was they just added a new area to add more Pokemon to. Like, brilliant. Like, that's exactly what you should do. Just keep adding new areas and more content. And that's perfect, you know, these DLCs or whatnot. So, I like that a lot. I think that works, actually. Um, because, like, it's the same thing with, like, Pokemon Go. It's like, now that they have, like, you know, all the way up till Gen 5 or whatever, it's like, what the fuck? How am I supposed to find, like, a Gen 1 Pokemon that I want? It's just gonna be random, yeah? Like, there's so much... The pool is so much bigger now. And I only have such a limited area. It's not like you can just add areas to Pokemon Go or whatever. So, like, that's weird. Not that I play Pokemon Go much anymore, but I've got it on in the background because I'm trying to still get that Mel Metal or whatever, which doesn't actually count towards the Galar Dex like I thought it does. It's because it's a mythical Pokemon technically, but I'd still like to have it someday just to really have a full completion, you know. But there's time. I've got to walk like 3,000 miles to get that to happen, which is... I know there's a way you can get some more candies from Let's Go or whatnot, and I think that's probably what I'm gonna have to do if I'm ever gonna really want to get that Pokemon. So, yeah, I don't know. That's really about all I got to say about Pokemon. I know I said that like a million times now, but that's literally I think that's the end of it. Like of what I have to say about Pokemon. I didn't even think about it. I mean, should I give this a review like score? I give it like a 9 out of 10 or something, like a high 8 or something for in terms of DLC. It was really good. There's not much else I would have really improved on top of it other than adding some trainers and maybe, you know, adding some more story there or something. But I thought it was fine. I thought the content, you know, was good. You know, $30 you get both DLCs, so that's pretty cool. Was it worth $15? I guess is the best rating I can give it. Yeah, I'd say so. If you like the original game, it'll be worth your $15. You're gonna have to pay $30 to get both DLCs, but that's how they get you. But I'm just kidding. And $30 more if you want to get both versions. But I wouldn't recommend. Just trade with somebody to get those exclusive 2 Pokemon or whatever. Just get one of them and then train it up or whatnot, or train it down, breed it or whatnot. So, yeah. You may also notice, so yeah, it's worth it. Let's put it that way. I get, like I said, high 8 to a 9 or whatever. Never really reviewed a DLC before. But you may notice that I've got my Animal Crossing guide finally, the companion guide here, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty in-depth guide. It's got like all the items and stuff in there that aren't like seasonal. Even some seasonal like winter and stuff, like event-focused items, that they had to patch in with DLC. It's got all the villagers and stuff, like, like they're all sorted by their types, and just like the cat villagers and whatnot. And tells you kind of what their favorite colors are and that kind of stuff, and kind of villager they are, which apparently normal is now called sweet villagers, which I didn't know that. Everyone has always just called them normal, and yeah, so that's what I've heard. But I got that finally. I ordered it like when I ordered the game, and there's like serious delays on this, and finally I got it, so that's cool. I love this guide though. It's really cool. Pretty cool to just like look up items and whatnot. I know it's not Pokemon related at all, but I just kind of wanted to show that off quick. So yeah, this has been JZNES saying keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'm going to be reviewing regular games again next time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ out.